with finances and their pockets sinking deeper as they continue to lose their loved ones, their jobs, business opportunities. Some businesses are really hard hit by the COVID-19, whereas others are experiencing the ripple effect of COVID-19. The cost of living is also high. The petrol prices all keep going up. And there isn't just enough disposable income for those that are still economically active. And the poor keeps on getting poorer. But the issue about money or the money problems is that it is a silent dilemma. And it's a silent dilemma because people don't want to talk about money or participate in this topic. Because, it comes natural that people don't want to be seen as having challenges with their finances. But what I would like to ask today for all the ladies and everybody here in the room is to give me a permission to tell it like it is. The reason I'm asking for a permission to tell it like it is because, I've had my share of making poor financial decisions in my life, and that has led me to be over indebted at some point. And if I happen to come across as not being sensitive to you, please forgive me. But the thing is, numbers don't lie at all. Numbers do not lie at all. 1,000 rand is 1,000 rand to you. But it's easier for us to lie and ignore about our finances. And all I'm saying to you is today it's our chance to rethink about, to have a new thinking about our finances and what it means to us and how we can make our money work for us. And that's what I've been asked to talk about. But until someone decides to say it like it is, unfortunately, we would continue making bad financial decisions. So please participate a lot on our chat, and so that we tackle these money issues together. And if you feel like your issues regarding finance is more private, please, you can also talk to me privately. I'm a financial coach and I'm a financial advice therapist. I always start with the why of your financial problem before I talk about the solution. And I want us to start talking about why you haven't or you don't make your money work for you. The reason I want us to start with the why is because I want to encourage the financial warrior mentality that you can take away today from this presentation. Because if you start with the financial warrior mentality, it will be easy for you to acknowledge your past financial habits and decisions. Meaning, let's take a moment and look back before COVID-19. What were your financial habits or decisions? The reason I ask you to do that is because I want you to have an honest diagnosis of your current financial state. Because your current financial state is a combination of your past and your financial habits and decisions and the effects of COVID-19. And if you are able to do this honest diagnosis, it will be easy for you to implement timely. I want to focus on the word timely financial solutions without any delay. Because if you don't do that, any advice that I will give you here won't be as fruitful as to you, because you will remain consumed in your financial stress. If we don't look back and appreciate what we've done, good or bad, with our finances, it will be easy for you to continue blaming or putting a focus on the external forces like COVID-19 and other people. And that creates a victim mentality rather than a financial warrior mentality. The reason I say this is that when you find yourself in a victim mentality, you always procrastinate. It's easy for one to be in denial of their financial situation. It will, it won't even be easy for you to think of of budgeting, or finding ways. It's like your brain will shut down and not tap into the solution space, but into the stress, but remain in the stress space. Ego can come into place, or you become inaction. You end up not doing anything about your finances, which will not get you anywhere. The reason I'm saying this is because through the observation skills and experience I gathered over 11 years as a debt and financial well-being coach, this has motivated me to advise and be an authoritative voice behind the concept of money bucket and its money bucket holes. I wish for you to reflect on your own past and current financial habits as I go through these scenarios, so that, of money bucket holes. The first scenario that I'm going to talk about here is, let's say there are two university graduates with the same qualifications, similar background, demographics, same income or a job, who started their earnings at the same time. After 3 years, one will be over indebted, meaning one will have many holes in their money bucket, and the other one will be financially stable with fewer holes in their money bucket. I think we've observed these things where people are earning the same salary and similar backgrounds in the same job. One is having financial problems, the other one doesn't. The reason I'm making this as a scenario is because there are holes in our money buckets. And what one can ask, Kelebogile, what is it about the money bucket and the money bucket holes? I'm going to explain it again with the scenario where the world is experiencing COVID-19, and this could also have affected your finances. COVID-19 has merely just exposed the holes in our money bucket, in all honesty. Only few people are financially stable, and many of us, or many people, are not. And those who are financially stable, it means over time, they mastered the art of closing or minimizing number of holes in their money bucket. It means they worked on their dreams, their gifts. They mastered what we call self-production against all odds. They left their comfort zone and made no excuses about their poverty level, political or economic effects. They also managed their money better. They saved, they invested, they avoided unnecessary credit. And that's why some of them would have financial stability during this COVID-19. But the thing is, there are not many of those, despite losing their loved ones and their jobs. They had this financial buffer that could sustain them for months, or gave them an opportunity to quickly reinvent their career, their businesses, or their gifts during lockdowns. And they were able to turn what is pandemic in its natural form to their financial breakthrough. However, many people are hardest hit. And if you are one of those who are hardest hit, as I said in the beginning, let's step a little bit back. Ask yourself these questions. Have you really exercised a lot of your self-production? Have you really did you do whatever that you could in your own capacity to do the best in managing your finances or not? And if you are able to be honest about this, it's easy for you to say, okay, Kelebogile, I think I did the right thing before COVID-19 by taking care of my finances, or I did not, or I did not really take my career seriously. And I think it's one of the reasons I did not make as much money as I should, or grab those opportunities that I missed. So with that reflection, as you go through, as you reflect back, then it's easier for you to say, what do I need to do now to make sure that with the little resources that I have, how do I then not repeat the same mistakes? So what exactly is the money bucket? The money bucket is a metaphor that I use to represent your quest to make a living or become wealthy from the day you first earned your income till today. The holes in the money bucket is a metaphor that, firstly, they represent the life and financial choices that you make in the essence of earning your money, managing your money, and growing your money. These are your internal forces and power. You have full control of them, and you are the only one. For instance, you are the only one who needs to complete your qualification in order for your career to grow or to develop. And you are the only one who made that decision to buy a car that you can afford or the car that you cannot afford. So these are the holes that keep for some time. They've been there in your money bucket, but you were not aware of. The second thing about the holes in your money bucket represents the external forces like COVID-19, where things beyond your control or you have you have less control of them, create a temporarily financial problems with job losses and illnesses, retrenchments, or death in the family, and stuff like that. But the question is to say, if you to imagine bucket, this bucket as your money bucket, and how many holes do you think your money bucket have? And have you tried before to try and close any of the holes or anything that will make it difficult for you to earn money, to manage your money, and to grow your money? I want to talk about personal brand to put everything together, which will nicely link with what Charlotte has been talking about, the hidden genius in you. Little did we know or understand that we tend to spend our money based on the personal brand, whether it's a genuine personal brand that you have, whether it's a false or a fake one, or you don't have a personal brand. Ultimately, we spend money based on who we think we are or who we think we stand for. Now, if we are to look at a situation where somebody does not understand who they are and what is their genuine personal brand, they would obviously spend money in that fakeness or in that wrong personal brand that they believe is who they are, but whereas they are not. And then that's the reason why they haven't or they don't make their money work for themselves. Now, have you ever heard of a TV show that says I Blew It, where people received a lot of money, millions of money for whatever reason that it was, but in the shortest space of time, they blew their money, and they don't understand now why would they end up blowing such a lot of money in the shortest space of time. It is because they either have a wrong or fake, or they had no personal brand um, that they would be able to spend their money wisely to prosper them. So they end up making a lot of bad financial decisions. So how do you know that you have a fake or a wrong or a personal brand that is not genuine to you. When you allow or consent about how the world and its 7 billion opinions sees you, if you allow that to make you shape the way you see yourself before you allow yourself to know or see yourself how God sees you, you would always spend your money in that manner, in that priority. So you spend your money to please the world because you're concerned about how the world sees you. Charlotte talks about impressing people. So every time you get money, the first thing that we do is spend the money impressing people or the world. And that makes you now spend the money in what you believe is the real you, whereas the real you is not exactly there. What you think is there is actually what you think the world sees you. And it does not even give you an opportunity to connect with your spiritual space to say, the money that I have or the money that I want to have, how do I need to spend it in order for me to grow throughout my life? So what is the genuine personal brand is all about? The genuine personal brand is when you start thinking about how God sees you. Because God is your source, and the money that you have in this planet Earth is your resource. If you start thinking about how God sees you, it will shape the genuine you and understanding the real you, who you are, what are you born for? What is your purpose? What are your gifts? What is your X factor? Before you can consider how the world sees you. And if you do that, it will be easy for you to spend your money according to this formula with your God, yourself, before the world. Because you'll be clear about your goals, you'll be clear about your career and your purpose and your self-concept. And before you try to entertain people. That's the reason why when someone has got the last 1,000 rand, it's a question of, are they going to invest the money? Are they going to go on invest some money on improving their business, taking that online course, or they're going to spend that money over the weekend impressing friends or buying expensive shoes or clothes because they needed to look nice at that point. So these are the key decision-making process that if you do not understand your genuine personal brand and it is influenced by how God sees you, how you see yourself in a genuine form, and how you want the world to see you or to perceive you, you would end up messing the money or your finances in that manner. So with that saying, one can say, but how do I then close this money bucket also? How do I then make my money work for me? Firstly, you need to decide to pay yourself first. You know, a lot of people say it's month end. I need to go and go take myself to my favorite restaurant or that situation. That was a typical thing to do before COVID-19. And they thought at the time they were really paying themselves. Whereas paying yourself, what it means is that you give, you save, you invest before you spend. And the rich people and people who are managing their money well, they spend their money in that order. They give, they save, and then they spend before they invest before spending. And if it's anything other than this, that's why you would see that when debit orders comes, it's all about spending, 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 spending. And at the end of the month or even a day after payday, um, you have nothing to save because you have your priorities upside down. You don't pay yourself first. So paying yourself first, basically that's what it means. So in as much as giving, it has everything to do with what God tells you in your heart how to give. So you need to encourage that conversation with your Almighty to say, how would you want me to give? Because when you give, you open an opportunity for you to receive more, because your source will be able to turn that 5 loaves and 2 fishes into a multiples of more financial abundance. So when you invest in yourself and your career and your gifts and self-production, you become valuable, and be able to attract money and invest in your businesses. So that's how you are able to now make your money work for you. And the more you do this, the more you find inner joy, the more you find that inner confidence that shapes your unique personal brand. That has absolutely nothing to do with what your other friends are doing on Facebook and your friends and the Jones next door. Because the fake green grass will still look greener from far. So that environment encourages you to say, you know what, I'm in control of my finances. I put my money where it matters, where it can improve me, where it can create return for me first before I spend it. That's replacing consumerism with investor mentality. Once you've decided to pay yourself first, you acknowledge any debt and financial problem issues. If you do not acknowledge this, and you are going through this situation, just remember that there's always a high price to pay for any debt that has been ignored. It's either you're going to pay penalties on areas, on legal fees, or litigations like your judgment, repossession of your assets like your car, your houses, or ultimately sequestration. Or you will need to pay an expert, be it a debt expert or an attorney, to advise, to coach you, to negotiate your debt or help you exercise your rights, or to write off any debt that you're not legally obliged to pay. So any debt that is being ignored, whether willfully or not, has some price to pay. But the thing is, the decision that you make starting today will determine which price will you be forced to pay ultimately. But never, a try by all means not to ignore your debt. Make arrangements with seek debt expert advice, and make arrangements with your creditors to see to it that you lower your stress level or your financial stress level, and create an opportunity for you to think about how you can now find solutions to improve your finances. The third thing now is the budget. Now that you have the motivation and the strategy of paying yourself first and acknowledging that acknowledging any debt problems or financial problems that you might have, it is only then that you can start looking at your budget, because you've got a motivation and a strategy. This way, it will be easy for you to commit to the budget. How you do your budget has very little to do with your commitment to stick into your budget. You can have the latest budgeting app on your smartphone, but if you're not committed, if you don't have motivation, if you don't have a strategy, that app on your phone will be useless. You won't even be utilizing it, because it won't be easy for you to be a boss of your money. Just last financial coaching tips from my side. Don't use credit to buy or pay for living expenses. You know, recently I've seen an advert from Captain, if I'm to mention, drop the names, where the lady comes into the house, she sees that the fridge is empty, and then she runs to Captain Pep Store Ackermans to get a loan to buy groceries. Yes, it's a reality. Most of us would do that. But what I'm trying to highlight here is the credit industry has brainwashed us a whole lot about our finances because they know we never really learned financial literacy from our kinder, from our crèches to our highest qualifications. They made it look like it's okay, it's a right thing to do. Whereas as us as debt and financial well-being experts, we are saying it's really not encouraged, because we are then encouraged to take a credit with 27% interest rate, compound interest rate, to buy, to pay for living expenses. And though it's of a survival motivation, but it is not something that will help you to grow. So if you are now encouraged to take a loan for living expenses, instead of taking that loan to create an opportunity to generate more money, then, you know, there's an element of misleading from the credit market, which make it looks like it's okay to take credit for those reasons. It's the same on the same breath where they would encourage you to have more check accounts as compared to savings accounts, and they promise you that, you know, if you've got a lot of check accounts, you will qualify for credit cards and overdrafts, and to finance your house and everything. There's little promises of that to come into place when you really need that credit, because those credit cards and overdraft, they're credit agreements. You still need to have good, proper credit worthy records. You need to have affordability for that. They won't say, no, 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 you promised because you have got check account, then you automatically qualify. It doesn't really work like that. But then they lock you into having a lot of check accounts, which are very expensive per month as compared to savings accounts. So if there's a need for you to downgrade from check to savings accounts, do so, because once your finances are right, your credit report is correct, it's good, and you want to buy a house, any bank that you've never banked with can still finance you. They don't even, you've never been loyal to them, they don't even know you can still finance your car or your property. Speak to your kids and your loved ones about your financial state. We tend to underestimate that, but take a chance, because when you're going through a financial difficulty, it's about time to sit with your loved ones and explain to them what exactly is the situation with your finances, so that you manage their financial expectations of you. That will relieve a financial stress from yourself, and they will be able to accept whatever that you can provide for them financially. It's not easy. I cannot guarantee you that, but it's worth a shot, because it is your responsibility to explain it to them. You should not assume that they must understand that you don't have money or enough money anymore. I usually advise my clients to say, if you are doing a monthly groceries and your budget is very tight, start going to the fruit and veg market and buy in bulk what you need in the house. The next stop should be your fresh local butcher to buy your meats and all that before you go to the supermarket. By the time you go to the supermarket, your list will be shorter, your budget will be much, much tighter, and I'm telling you, you'll be consciously looking forward to getting everything the things that are on the list on your trolley, not the things that are on promotion. You know, there are a lot of times you find that you start doing your grocery, you go to the supermarket, you've got your trolley full of goodies, but those goodies are not even gonna last you two weeks into the month. And you spend a lot of money on that. And it then gets worse when you realize that the really cost of living is really high and food prices have really went up recently. If you're not an impulsive buyer, like you say, I'm going to supermarket to buy bread and milk, and then you come out with a trolley full of groceries, rather take cash and that list to the supermarket and leave the carts. If you're driving, leave them in the car. If you leave them at home. That way, you're building a discipline for yourself to say, I'm not going to buy anything that is not on my list or that I did not plan to buy. When you're doing your
sorry, Kelebogile, yes. When I look at the chat, everybody is completely excited about what you're saying. People are so engrossed, but I'm afraid you're 10 minutes over. Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I'm actually wrapping up.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, this is the second last, actually. It's actually the last slide. So to wrap it up, also make sure that when you do your budget, have an entertainment on your budget. It does not have to be a big budget for that entertainment. But if you don't acknowledge entertainment in your budget for the little that it is, then your entertainment will control your budget. And it's also important for you to have a debt and a financial expert as your go-to person when you have your financial challenges. What